I am your host, Lexi Inks, and welcome to Lex Be Real, a sex and dating podcast all about the three R's: real, relatable relationships. Hey guys. So I know we've taken a little bit of a hiatus. For the past couple weeks, there has been undoubtedly a lot going on in the world and in my life, and everything's just kind of a shit show right now. So I'm going to keep this intro as short and sweet as I can, but I know that I don't even really have to dive into the details of what is going on globally, politically, socially, in the news, everything. But I felt like for the past couple of weeks, with all things considered, it probably wasn't just the right time to put out an episode about casual sex and situationships. So I took a little bit of a break to kind of not just kind of throw my random, side commentary into the void, while we should be focusing on much bigger issues. So I said all that to say, just so everyone is aware, who is listening to this, I, Lexi, and therefore Lex Be Real, has a very strong, passionate stance against genocide, against human rights violations, and against ethnic cleansing. And so I am very pro-Palestine. I am all for the freedom and liberation of Palestinian people, and obviously very against genocide. And that is what we are watching unfold in front of us right now, in this world. It's very heavy. It's very serious, very dark time. And there are a lot of fucked up people in this country who are actively aiding and abetting, supporting, financing genocide in Palestine, in Gaza right now. People are dying like shit's whack, shit's not good. So just so everyone is aware, I just need to throw that out there, that is completely where I stand. This may be a small platform, but it is still a platform, and I need to make sure that I make it known that that is where I stand on this issue. It shouldn't even be an issue. It shouldn't even be an issue. Honestly, it should just be everyone's against genocide. Everyone's for the freedom and liberation and health and safety of the Palestinian people, period, point blank. Moving on. So today's episode is so much fun, you guys. And I think that despite everything, as long as we are keeping our eyes and ears open and awake, and we are staying informed and staying involved and speaking up when we can and where we can, I think that those are great things. And that for those of us who actually care and give a shit about people, we can indulge a little bit in some lighthearted conversation and just like a fun topic to kind of, get our minds off of things for just a second. So I am so excited to be chatting with Dr. Tara today about casual dating, relationships, situationships, casual sex, all of the fun things. And in this episode, we also get a little personal, which was pretty unexpected, but so funny. And I obviously can talk to a wall about my fucking sex life. So if you are my parents or my siblings or any kind of blood relation to me, or if you work with me, or if you are a family friend, just turn this episode off because you're not going to want to listen to it. But otherwise, please enjoy. We're talking all about situationships, whether it's a situationship or if you're settling, or, how to go about casual dating, how to talk to people about casual sex, and how to have a healthy, fun, awesome, sexy situationship. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So I am so stoked for today's episode. I could not seriously be more excited. We're going to have such a fun topic to chat about. And our expert is just insanely fun and knowledgeable as well. She is part-time professor, part-time influencer, part-time sex and relationships expert, all the things. And I'm so stoked to have her on today. I've been working with her and collaborating with her on so many different articles and things that I've written throughout the past like 2 or 3 years. But we're finally getting a chance to chat face to face, which is so exciting. So let me introduce, without further ado, Dr. Tara. Dr. Tara is a tenured professor of sexual communication, among many other things, at California State University, Fullerton. She is a highly acclaimed sex and relationship expert, a TV host, and the host of her own podcast, Love Bites by Dr. Tara. And she has assisted me, personally for a ton of articles across like Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Bustle, etc. And I'm just so excited to finally be chatting with her. So today's topic is going to be super lighthearted and fun, which I think we all need right now with everything, everything that's going on. I think we need some kind of like nice, fun chat. So Dr. Tara, tell us a little bit about kind of your background, like what got you started and inspired to get into this field and this career, and like what is your mission for the work that you do?
And why am I so insanely fun?
Yeah, well, yes, you're
I
insanely
love
fun
that
for
was
sure.
the introduction. I've never heard anyone describe me as insanely fun, but it is now my favorite ever description. From
That's
now
your
on, I
brand.
want everyone to describe me as it's Dr. Tara. She's insanely fun.
She is, and that's your brand. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you. She's insanely fun and a little insane as well.
Yeah, we all aren't we all? Yeah.
Okay, so yes, it's Dr. Tara. A little bit about my background. I'm originally from Thailand. So ethnically, like people always ask me, what kind of Asian are you? I'm Thai. And if you love Thai food, shout out.
I
I love
do. I
Thai food.
do.
I love spicy food.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm lucky. I live in LA now, and we have a good like Thai town. Lots of
Oh
Thai
yes.
restaurants.
Oh my gosh.
So very lucky. Yeah, and I moved here to study human communication, but I focus on studying relationships. I went to grad school here, and then after I graduated with my PhD, I got my dream job as a tenure track professor at Cal State Fullerton. So I get to move to LA and live in LA. My mission is to, of like, in a lack of a better word, is to spread sex positivity. But
Yeah.
in terms of the how to, it's to help people feel more comfortable talking about sex, communicating about sex, and expressing themselves sexually. And I think that's why in my own content on social media, I tend to exaggerate a little bit on how to talk about sex, because sometimes people question me like, are you like that all the time? Well, I'm like quite loud and open-minded all the time and insanely fun.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
almost all the time. But in terms of like, do I say like eat that ass like every day? I don't. I can, but I don't.
Right.
Because when you're on social media, you're trying to keep taboo topics very lighthearted. And you're trying to penetrate
Yes.
a barrier of uncertainty and shame that we all collectively have. So for
Mhm.
me, if I was to talk about, let's say, tossing the salad, like seriously, I don't think it would get through that many people in terms of like their shame of engaging in this type of sexual act. So for
Mhm.
me, I had to use humor humor and just being outrageous in
Yeah.
order to, yeah, help like people feel more comfortable in their own skin with their own sexual desires. So I would say my overall goal is to spread sex positivity through humor and sexual communication.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like to the the point of like being keeping it kind of fun and light and humorous, like I think that the more we make it weird and like heavy and like
Yeah.
scary, that's where the taboo stays. Like that's where the stigma and the shame of like sex and sexuality like that's why they exist, is because we don't make it
Right.
fun and we don't make it accessible and we don't make it kind of silly and fun. And I think like that's so important, the work that you do to like make it easier and more fun to talk about, because everybody has sex, everybody needs that, you know what I mean? Like everybody
Yeah.
in some form has some relation to sex and sexuality,
Mhm.
regardless of your, you know, gender or sexual identity. So like I think that that's incredible. And the
Thank
work that you
you.
do is like so helpful, and it's just like I said, accessible. Like you're on social media, you're readily available, you know, to teach people everything they need to know about like the things that, you know, their mom never told them and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I feel like in a way I'm like Gen Z's like sex mommy because
Yes.
on
Yeah.
on TikTok, you know, my audience is pretty young,
Hmm.
like 18 to 25. So it does feel sometimes that I'm their um only source of sex
Yeah.
education. Uh
Yeah. Yeah.
which I'm very honored and sometimes scares me a little bit to be vulnerable because you know, like I hope that I mean, my hope is that people watch or listen to my short videos and feel a little bit less shameful or ashamed of what they're interested in, but then also educate themselves further through these like articles or sex positive podcasts, more like more education, long form content and reading
Yeah.
because that will then help you gain more knowledge and develop your sexual confidence more.
Oh, for
I
sure.
think I like my social media does the job in terms of help reducing shame, but because they're like 10 seconds,
Hmm.
I'm not, you know, teaching a topic in a way that I would teach in college. So I hope that it is like a gateway
Yes, that's
for
the perfect way to
people
describe it.
to educate themselves more.
Yeah, that's definitely, gateway is a good word for it, because it gets the conversation started and it gets their
Yeah.
curiosity piqued. And from there, they can kind of look deeper into it. And then you have a million other resources that like your
I do.
podcast and the articles that you contribute to, and, you know, the things that you teach in your, you know, academic career, like all of those things.
Exactly. And when you try to do that though, sometimes it can be very harmful. Cause the
Hmm.
first time I tried going to like a BDSM event with one of
Yeah.
my exes that I was dating for only like a month,
Oh,
uh, it was very scary. I
yeah.
wasn't prepped. I we didn't talk about stuff. This was a long time ago, so I was also very insecure, had like
Hmm.
insecure attachment style. So all of those things, on top of that, like going to that kind of event without, you know, knowing much about anything is it's it's pretty crazy. And so my
Yeah.
experience afterwards was like very hesitant to engage back in again to practices like that. Now we do like
Hmm.
light BDSM or at home at
Right,
home
right.
BDSM. But yeah, it took a while for me to even like have like the courage to kind of go back there.
Yeah. That's how, I mean, that sounds like my story too, because like a couple, you know, years ago in a previous relationship, like we were polyamorous and like we were like getting involved in the kink community and like meeting a lot of those people. And like we would get invited to like all these like play parties and stuff, but like massive ones, like really like intimidating ones. And I had just started to like deconstruct my purity culture, like religious trauma, like get in more sex positive myself and like understand my own like
Did you
relation
grow
to
up
kink and sex
religious?
positive. Oh my gosh, yes, like
Tell me more.
extremely. So
Extremely.
yeah, so like we were like heavy because, you know, I grew up in Florida in the South, so like the Baptist church, the, you know, the Christian church and the Methodist and all of the different like Christian churches are just huge here. um and so I grew up like I wasn't allowed to date. I wasn't allowed to like have a date to the homecoming dance like at school. Like wasn't allowed to like have boys at my house ever, or like, you know, we would get our
Oh,
phones checked regularly kind of thing. Like it was
wow.
just very like everything you're doing is monitored, watched, like judged kind of thing. Not even just by my parents, but like the church as a whole is like
Yeah.
always like watching, and you're so and even if you were alone, you're like, oh well, God's watching me, so like I can't touch myself, I can't do anything, you know what I mean? So like anything
Oh
that
my
was
God,
ever
that's like
done.
the triple threat, you know, like the
Yeah.
metaphysical, the family, and then the organization. It's
Oh my
like
gosh,
a triple
yes.
threat. That's like sexual shame 101.
Oh, literally. And that's eventually I will have like a serious kind of thing on like
Mhm.
deconstructing all of that and how I did it, because like it took a lot of work. Like there's so much
Yeah.
that went into like my sexual shame and like my purity culture trauma. But like, yeah, I mean, growing up in that kind of culture, it's just it's so unique, it's such a different
Yeah.
experience, and like a lot of my friends don't relate to it because like they just weren't, even if they were raised religious, they weren't raised the way that I was.
Mhm.
And like to the extent, because like the churches that we went to were pretty intense sometimes, and
So how
so
did you get into poly?
that was kind of just like a happenstance that I met someone who I had done like theater with as like a young adult. And then we ended up like reconnecting when I moved back to Florida from New York. And I like walked into a situation where we were kind of like talking, but I like had heard that he had like a partner, but I wasn't sure like what the deal was. And then he like kissed his boyfriend, who I didn't know was his boyfriend, who was just one of my friends, in front of me. And I was like, whoa, 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 what is going on here? I thought you had a girlfriend. And he's like, we're poly. And I'm like, what does that mean? And so then we
So
kind
he's
of, you know,
bi
yeah,
and
so he was bisexual, so am I.
poly.
And yeah,
Okay.
and then he was poly. And so, you know, months down the line after we become close friends and then we develop more feelings, we ended up, you know, becoming primary partners. And we were poly, which okay, like you, as you can probably imagine, did not really go over well with my family.
Mhm.
um
Did you
at the
tell him?
time. I did, yeah. And you know, a lot of people have trepidation about that, and like again, that's like a whole other episode in itself. But yeah, I did tell them, didn't go over super well, but they did like my partner. So it was kind of like, at least there's that. Like I didn't have like a terrible partner, you know what I mean? Like he was like, got along with them, was very polite, like very like considerate. Like we didn't like shove it in their face like, oh yeah, we're dating and fucking a million people. Like it was very like, we were very respectful and like you know, like very like tried to be as respectful as possible about it. But yeah, I mean, from there, like that led into like my discovering more about the kink community. And then it was still very intimidating for me, especially because like my partner was more experienced than I was, and like
Yeah.
I was still kind of unraveling a lot of like that shame and stuff. And so I never really like went to it many of the events or anything because I was just so scared. And
Mhm.
I was like, the thought of watching my partner, you know, like be inside some other chick in like 5 minutes of walking into like a stranger's house. I was like, I'm not. I was like, that's what
Yeah.
like my thought about it was. Like that's what my vision of it,
Oh.
which is
So
obviously not the case at all.
so y'all had like a don't ask, don't tell?
No, so we were like I would say like kitchen table poly with the our partners that we had.
Okay.
But it was very like I like you said, like like anxious attachment style to the max at that time. This was like
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I dealt with like
You can't like, and no
heavy.
one can be in a poly relationship with
No.
anxious. You have to
No,
be
like
secure.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, you, or at least be working heavily on
Yeah.
becoming secure. Like you've got to like
Emphasis on
be,
heavily.
yes, like you have to be so self-aware. And so so I was like hella anxious attachment. And so like that did not help at all with like knowing that he was going on other dates, and like I was supposed to be going on other dates, but like I was thinking about him, and it was like just a hot mess. So
Mhm.
like a lot of it was just like what I was going through, and I think I wasn't ready at the time. So I was single for like several years after that. Recently went through like now like kind of like a breakup with someone I was like mostly monogamous with. But now I'm like in a space where like I'm finally, after years of like healing and like learning and growing, I'm back to like, okay, I want to be poly again. Like I'm ready to be polyamorous. Like I have a lot of friends in the community, and like they're all so great. Their relationships are like awesome models for like healthy ethical polyamory. And so now I'm like, that's where I'm kind of like, your story sounds similar to mine, because at the time I was like, didn't know what I was doing, wasn't ready for like the kink poly stuff, because I was like anxiously attached, like insecure, unsure. But now after like a couple years away, I'm finally ready to like dive back into all of it, essentially.
Yeah. And it's not for
Yeah.
everybody. That's what
Oh
I
my
tell
God,
people too.
no.
Like, I work with couples, a lot of couples that have any kind of interest in ethical non-monogamy. And they ask me like, what are some of the types? And I said, there are so many.
So
And
many.
that's the beautiful thing is like, let's say there's 15 different types, like pick one, like, or create one, like whatever
Yeah.
works for you, whatever rules work for you, no rules work for you, whatever that it's like an a la carte dinner. Just pick
Yes.
what works for
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
they're always like mind blown because they have an idea of like there's only one type of poly, one type of open. And when I started talking about my relationship being monogamish, they're like, what's that?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
a couple of people that I've worked with have transitioned into monogamish from monogamy,
Yeah.
which they are really happy about. Um, it's interesting because the first time I've ever worked with a poly group, and they're a quad, they didn't they didn't end up so well because after we investigated for like 4 or 5 sessions, I had learned this, and I told them the truth is you don't want polyamory. What you guys
Yeah.
want is actually to swap like completely.
Yes.
Like this person was in love with this other person and this person was in love with this other person. It's like an ex. So I'm
Wow.
like, then you should just swap and be together and not try to be like the four of you because that's not what
Yeah.
you truly want. And they were like, oh no, but the being poly was such a big part of our identity. But I'm like, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. Like
Yeah, because
you don't
it's
have to have one identity. You can change anytime.
yeah, everything's like on a spectrum, everything's fluid. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's not for everyone. Like just because
No,
it's
it is
like
not. Yeah.
seems cool or seems
But
like the thing to
monogamy is
do.
also not for everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Like monogamy
Retweet.
is
Yeah.
so hard for some people, right? But like you
Yeah.
said, today you wanted to talk about situationships, also not for everyone.
Yes. Oh
And I
my
think
gosh,
that's why it's
no.
so controversial.
Yeah, it all is like it's like hot topics, especially like among my friend group of like girlfriends. Like all my girlfriends were kind of all talking together. Everyone has such different opinions and perspectives on like casual dating, casual sex, situationships, like monogamy. Like they're all kind of like intertwined in the way that like everyone has such different unique perspectives on it. So yeah, it's like those are all just things that like I could talk about forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the polyamory thing is interesting because like that kind of ties into like situationships. That kind of ties into like where does casual dating fall when you're monogamous versus when you're non-monogamous? Like what does it look like? Why is it different, kind of thing? So yeah, so let's just get into the I guess the topic. That was a
Situationships.
yeah, that was super. I'm so glad it I'll definitely have to have you on again to talk about everything we just mentioned, because that's like so much to unravel, and I love talking about all of those things. But yeah, so situationships, like I I've gone through, obviously, like most, women in their like 20s and 30s have definitely gone through my fair share of situationships.
Same.
So like
Yeah.
I have my own idea of what it is, but what is your definition of a situationship?
Mhm. A situationship for me is a casual relationship that does not have relational label, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So a casual relationship that does not have relational label can be anywhere from you meet this person every day, you fuck and you go home, or you meet this person once a week and they take you out on a date, but then they don't necessarily tell you if they're seeing other people or not, or if they're or if they want to be monogamous with you or not. You just haven't had that conversation and it's been going on for a while. So that would be
Yeah.
situationship, because if you were on a dating trajectory, the intentions would be clear that, oh, this is what I'm looking for. But when the
Mm-hmm.
intentions are not clear, it's a situationship.
Yes, I that's like the perfect way to put it. That's definitely how I see it too. Like
Yeah.
it's the long-term intentions aren't like
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
defined. Yeah. And it's and again, like everyone has their own kind of version of it, but it's that, yeah, that's, I mean, generally I would feel like the universal like
Yeah.
accepted definition of it. Now, what are some reasons why you think people might choose a situationship or like a casual connection as opposed to a committed one?
Mm. Uh, I think I think there's two ways to think about it. The first group of people who chose casual dating is the group of people who are busy in other parts of their life or trying to stay focused in other parts of their life, but still want a little bit of romance, a little bit of sexual connection and sexual gratification. So they prefer casual dating over committed dating or relationship because that's so much more investment in terms of resources and emotional investment, something along that line. So I think that's the first group of people, which I call them like conscious casual daters, meaning like they chose this, like they chose
Ah.
to casually date. This is a conscious casual dater. And then there's unconscious casual daters, the second group. So the unconscious casual daters are either people who have mommy daddy issues, who don't understand
Yeah.
why they're afraid of commitment, or don't understand their own like needs and desires. It can also be people who are super anxious and are just kind of tagging along whoever they quote unquote fall in love with, just to wait and see like what their partner will say in terms of what they are, what their status is. So being like kind of dragged along in the relationship. um the third kind of people in this like unconscious group, I would say, are a little bit more menacing, like a little bit more manipulative. So this group is this third type of people that's in the unconscious group are the people that are like thinking that they're using their casual partner to a certain degree, maybe using them for money, using them for sex, using them for emotional, um like an emotional therapist, if you will,
Yeah.
using them in some way and thinking that they have the quote unquote upper hand, but it's still unconscious because these people don't know who they are, and that's why they're engaging in this type of behavior. So yeah, like I would say there's like a healthy version and an unhealthy version, and I personally have been in both. So we can talk about it. What about you?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think I've been in both for sure. Like my most recent relationship that like just ended a bit ago, like we started as like committed partners in the beginning, and then we both kind of agreed to like what my poly friends call de-escalating, which is like we de-escalated into like more of a casual
Yeah.
relationship. But it was very conscious. Like it was kind of a situationship, but it was more like we were dating just casually. And we were like set boundaries and agreements for like, if we were to date other people, we would have to tell each other. If we were to have sex with other people, we would have to communicate about that and see, revisit comfort levels and things like that. But honestly, that was I think my first time ever being in kind of like a situationship where I chose it, number one, like consensually. It was like mutually consensual. And number two, I wasn't choosing it with the hope that he would change his mind and like
Yeah.
want to go back to dating, like for real,
I
for
think
real.
that's what a lot of women experience.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's like one of the biggest things I wanted to touch on today, because I know that I've been guilty of that. My friends have done that. Like so many people I know have kind of just agreed to like an FWB or a situationship kind of arrangement with the hopes that like he'll fall in love with me and then we'll get married and blah blah blah. But it's like you can still, like you said, like there's a healthy way to do situationships, and whether you don't have time or the energy to commit to like a full-blown thing, it can be a great option if you still want to date, you still want that connection. So yeah,
Yeah.
do you think most people are capable of like having a healthy situationship?
To be honest, no.
Yeah.
I think that's the honest truth. Being, a coach and a professor, like I meet a lot of people that come to me for advice or just to vent,
Hmm.
and we have just not been prepared to communicate our expectations within a relationship, our sexual desires, our needs and wants. Like we've just not been prepared for that. Like the education that we're offered, and I'm talking, in the United States, but also like most places in the world, they don't teach us how to do relationships. They teach you
Right.
like calculus and like life science and all of those things, but not how to be and how to communicate within a relationship. So I think it's
Hmm.
hard for most people to have a healthy situationship. I think what tends to happen is one person catches feelings more than the
Yes.
other, and then and then maybe it starts healthy, maybe it starts conscious, like, oh yeah, like, let's hang for like the summer, and then I'm gonna be off for my internship, whatever. And then someone tends to like catch more feelings and try to change the relationship status, but then the other person may agree, and then it turns into a relationship, or may not agree and be like, oh, like I thought we were just hanging out. Then someone experiences a heartbreak. Very, very common. Like millions of people experience this. And
Hmm.
when I was younger, like in my 20s, there wasn't the word situationship. It was just casual dating. But now with this word, situationship, I think people are a lot more conscious, because when you give language to things, then they know what it is, right? If you don't give
Right.
language to things, you don't know what it is. So now that we're saying situationship, a lot of articles write about it, a lot of like dating apps publish like data about it. Um, it's on TV, like, so now people know. So now they're like, oh shit, am I in a situationship? Is it healthy? Which person am I? Am I the one with the, that hold the cards, or am I the one waiting around?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
I've
like,
been both. I've been both. I've been the person holding the cards and the person waiting around, as well as the person who had a conscious situationship for a short period of time that I actually really enjoyed. And it was really
yeah.
fun and it served the purpose. And we both moved on and it was great. And we're still friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the case with my most recent one, which was really the first one that was like healthy and successful and like didn't like completely shatter my my
Yeah.
self-esteem or like, because again, like I chose it consciously. But
Right.
yeah, we're still friends and like it's great and like I
Yeah.
value that connection and the memories we made and that we're still able to like transition into like a platonic relationship and like I think that that speaks to how healthy it was because if you're
Yeah.
not able to continue talking and being friends and interacting, like sometimes that means that maybe there were two, feelings there that weren't acknowledged.
Yeah.
um, so what would you say for people who maybe are in a situationship, where one of them, especially like if they're the person that caught feelings and the other person maybe didn't in the same way, like what is your advice to those people that are like in a casual connection and then they have uneven feelings going on?
Mm. You have to address it, or else
Mm,
the person that have more feelings will start developing anxiety around
yeah.
the situationship, around that partner, and that can develop into resentment, which is a terrible feeling for that person and for the partner. So you got to do the hard thing, and you got to sit down and have a conversation about how can we move forward. But even to get there, you kind of have to self reflect and think, what is it that you desire out of this relationship? Now that you've caught more feelings, are you desiring a monogamous relationship? Are you desiring an open relationship? Are you desiring for it to maybe end because you just don't think that this person will be compatible with you long term, even though you have a lot of feelings for them?
Hmm.
So it takes a little bit more personal work before you even have that conversation, because you could try to have a conversation and then it's just two people like saying, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, yes.
I don't know. Like, I really like you, but I don't know. So I've seen that a lot. And actually, you know, you would think that that only happens to young people, but not really. I have clients that are in their early 40s that are in together, like, hey, we're in a situation and we just don't know how to move forward. Like, we want to talk. And so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let me like navigate it through with you as a coach. It was easy to help them because like they're older, so they have a little bit more tools in terms of like reflecting, but they weren't able to reflect on
Yeah.
their own. So that's the thing. It's like sometimes you're thinking and you're like, man, what the fuck do I truly want? Right? That's
Right.
the hardest thing to realize is like, what do I truly want? And
Yeah.
then have that conversation, which is the second hard part, because if you want a monogamous relationship, um, you know, a lot of the times that's not what's happening. A lot of the times the other person's like, oh, I thought this was casual.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one person ends up with a heartbreak or both people end up with their hearts broken. With this conversation though, I do think that it helps to end a situationship that serves you no further. Um, because when you do catch more feelings, you, like I said, develop anxiety and potentially resentment. You don't want to go down that route. You know,
No.
if you're in a healthy situationship, you want to just have fun and have it be fulfilling in its own way. Right? Maybe this is a friend that I find very attractive that I want to fuck.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose it serves. But you know, for a lot of people that I talk to that are more old school, they are highly against situationships. They think all situationships are super unhealthy. Any self-respect, like anyone with self-respect and self-worth will not engage in situationships. But I'm like, well, I'm a modern thinker, and I do think with certain level of consciousness, you can have fun with someone for a month and then move forward with your life. Maybe you stay friends, maybe you don't. Maybe that was a fling when you were in Paris and it ended and it's fine and
Mhm.
it's a memory. Like, you know, so for me as like more of a modern sex and relationship coach, I do think that situationships can be fun and healthy, but it, like you said, it depends on who you talk to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
do
have like
you
hardcore friends that are therapists, that are sex and relationship expert. You know, even my co-host on the TV show, he's on the ship
Mhm.
of like no situationship. That's like that
Wow.
is not respecting like your what you have to offer. And you know, and
Yeah.
I understand that perspective completely. I understand it and
Mhm.
I understand where it comes from. But I also don't think that people who have developed this type of perspective have understood like how much the internet changed our lives.
Yes, yeah. I
That's
agree.
why for me, like being a younger person, and I'm not that young, like I'm 35, but being someone that, you know, grew up with the internet, like I don't think people that are older than me perhaps understand how like the internet has changed like everything.
Yeah, like the access to like knowledge that we have and like
Yeah.
frameworks for certain things and examples of like relationships and lifestyles and all that kind of stuff. Like we just have so much more at our disposal that it's like we can see models, especially in like sex and relationships, we can see models and ideas and concepts and frameworks for like what we're like, oh, that would work for me, or that's how I feel, or I relate to that, or yeah. And I think like a lot of people, and I think I used to feel like that. I used to, in a way, feel that a situationship was just settling, like you're, cause, and I think that was because that was the experience that I had. And I think that a lot of times people who, not necessarily experts, but like anyone who might just have like a staunch stance of like you're settling if you're in a situationship, maybe they haven't had a situationship experience themselves where they felt fulfilled
Yeah.
by it, and like they haven't had a positive one at least. And like up until this year, I hadn't really had a positive one. Like it was really just me like yearning for like, I'm like, they're gonna fall in love with me. I'm just waiting. I'm hoping, waiting it out, and they'll eventually
We
want to,
all had that one, girl.
yes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and to this day, I still look back and I'm like, I wish, that was the one that got away. But I'm like, you know what? No, it wasn't. Like, it was
No.
someone, usually in those cases, it was someone who knew that I felt that way, who was
Yeah.
taking advantage of me, and
Mhm.
I was allowing it to happen because I didn't put up boundaries and I didn't, stand up for myself and my needs. But now that I'm
Period,
30,
sis.
yeah. But now that I'm 30 years old and I'm a grown ass woman, I'm able to do that. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
when I'm 21 and I'm dating someone who's 10 years older than me, like, yeah, that's not going to be as
Oh my
easy.
God. We like did the same thing. And when
Yes.
I was 20, when I was before 21, I was dating someone
Mhm.
10 years older than me. And
Really?
that was strange because he definitely
Yeah.
had a lot more tools in his brain. Like, even though it was like unhealthy tools, but he
Hmm.
was able to kind of manipulate me. Anyways, like towards the end, though, I broke up with him and he was
Yeah.
devastated. But I knew all along that he was kind of like stringing me along. But I think he was devastated because I caught up to it and I broke up with him first, which is like so stupid and so like high school now that I like look back. But like these life experiences kind of make you who you are. Like
Oh
you
my gosh,
you keep
yes.
collecting experiences, and that's how you have all these tools. And that's why, like, when I talk to people, I'm like, listen, I've had all kinds of fucking relationships, like all kinds of relationships. I've also lived around the world. I've lived in Asia, I lived in Europe, I lived in America. And I'm also like bringing the perspective of someone who has had like internet and smartphones, like pretty much, more than half of my life. So
Hmm.
for me, I have so much more room and grace for other types of relationships that's just not like monogamous marriage.
Yes.
Like I've had
Yeah.
so many good things that had happened. So for me, it is possible. Like all these things are possible. A good friend with benefit relationship is possible.
Oh
I've had
yeah.
one. It was amazing. We had a good time, and he found someone and I was really happy for him. I found someone at the time and I was, it's so nice. Like we still work together. It's so nice. And
Yeah.
for people who have never had that and got married when they were younger and is now with their wife or husband for this long period of time, they don't have the framework. Like
Oh, for sure.
oh, that's not possible and it's unhealthy. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like when you've had that experience, I think it really does change your mind because, like I said, like really up until this year, I kind of did still have like a shitty view of situationships and like
Mhm.
casual dating and stuff, even though I had done a lot of it in my, especially my early 20s, like in
Mhm.
college, like everyone does, you kind of fuck around
Yeah.
and you find out. You like,
Walk around and
yeah,
find out,
you
literally. That's why
do.
it's a song.
Yes. You do. And like, I had, my hoe phases, and then I had my casual dating phases, and then I had like, like a couple guys who I like really was into. And I think the guy that was like almost 10 years older than me, like, he did kind of the same thing. Like, he knew that I was like obsessed with him, and he like totally knew that like the feelings were like not 100% equal. And when you're like 21, 22, you're like hot and sexy and cute and fun and like young
Hot,
and
sexy, cute.
yeah. And I'm like, now I'm an old hag. No, but no, but like, I think that's that whole thing of like older men looking for like really young women, which, sometimes is for not nefarious reasons, but then other times it's like, oh, they know they can manipulate you kind of thing. So like,
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit of that going on of like him being like, I can string her along because she's obsessed with me. And then I
Mhm.
was like, oh, he'll fall in love with me, no doubt. Like this is my future husband. And
Mhm.
then when we broke up and I was like, oh my God, he just wants me for like a casual sex and
Yeah.
attention and dates
Side
and
chick.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was like, because it wasn't until I found like I was like taking my makeup off one morning after he had left for work, and I was like at his place, and I'm like going to class at like 9 a.m. like a 21-year-old does. And this man is like an engineer, like going to his like big boy job, and like I wipe my face with like a like a makeup wipe and I throw it in the trash. And what do I see? Tampons. I was
No.
not on my period. So I was like, those are not mine. Those are not mine. And I was like, I'm going to kill myself. So,
You didn't even try to
um,
hide it.
no, he didn't. And yeah. And so that's kind of when the whole thing fell apart, where I was like, what are we? Are we exclusive? Like, what? And of course, I did it over text, which is the worst way to
Yeah.
have those conversations. But, when you're like, all day you're sitting there in like panic mode and you're like, I can't see him in person yet, but like, I just need to know. So, of course, I
Yeah.
texted him while I'm like at work after class. And
Oh my
he's like,
God.
we're like not exclusive. And I'm like, oh my God. Because we've been dating
It's
for
giving Sagittarius energy. What's your sign?
I'm a Libra and he
Oh
was
wow.
Gemini. Yeah.
Oh
Which is
wow.
funny because,
That's a
yeah,
good match,
you normally,
right? Like
yes.
astrologically, right? I mean, I
Astrologically,
don't know much
yes.
about astrology,
No,
but
you're
I've heard
100% right.
that Gemini
Gemini
and
is like one of the
Libra
best
is,
pairs for Libras. Yeah, which is funny
yeah.
because my most recent relationship, he was also a Gemini and he's also older than me. So I think he is the third or fourth guy. I think I have dated four men that were significantly older than me that were Geminis.
Wow,
So
you have a thing.
it's
You
a
have a
pattern. I
pattern.
do apparently have a type.
Wonder
Um,
wonder if that pattern is healthy.
I know.
Hmm.
And yeah, after
You
this
want
last
free
one, I'm like,
therapy? You want
yeah.
free
I'm like, interesting.
We should unpack that.
We should have backed that. But yeah, so no, it's you just grow and learn as you go. I feel like through
Yeah,
time,
fuck
and of
around and
course,
find
like
out.
yes, exactly. Now, like almost 10 years later, I know that I'm capable of doing that, and especially like with which now I kind of want to segue into asking you your perspective on like monogamy versus non-monogamy and how situationships are dealt with and viewed maybe in those communities. So do you feel like more non-monogamous people have a better view of situationships, and do you think that they are more capable of them than like strictly monogamous people are?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
when your only framework is monogamy and heterosexual long-term like marriage, golden retriever, two kids, house in a suburb. If that's your only framework, you're not gonna have like, I would say, the flexibility of accepting and embracing other types of relationships. When you're
Yeah.
when you're open-minded to other types of relational structures, you are way more likely to be flexible towards the belief that successful relationships can be in any type of structure.
Mm.
So for me, as someone who's like in a monogamous marriage, I know for a fact that there are many different types of relational structures that can be as fulfilling, happy, successful, whatever positive word you want to use.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, do I think one group tend to be, you know, better at dealing with casual relationships than the other? Um, I do think that even people who are into just monogamous relationships can enjoy casual sex and can enjoy casual dating as long as they're communicating that, listen, ultimately this is what I want.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I can have sex tonight, I find you hot, you find me hot, like give me orgasms.
Hmm.
Like let's have fun. But just so you know, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this. So
Yeah.
it's fine if you are looking for a monogamous long-term relationship and still enjoy casual dating in the meantime. But on the other hand, people who are already someone that identify themselves as like, I think my long-term goal is like some type of ethical non-monogamy, I think they have a lot, like probably easier time to navigate uncertainty,
Yeah.
like situationships and casual dating.
I would say so too. Yeah, especially like having had experience with it and also just like having a bunch of friends who kind of have like their core, not even
Mhm.
primary, because like a lot of them don't do like hierarchy in their
Mhm.
polyamory, but like just have their core partners that they've been with long term, and then they date outside of that. Some of them are situationships, some of them are play partners, some of
Mhm.
them they're boyfriend and girlfriend, like, and they have the capacity to have those long term connections in addition. So yeah, I would say like they're just more equipped typically. Like if you do ethical being
Mhm.
the key word, like if you're ethically practicing non-monogamy, I
Yeah.
think you are a little more equipped to deal with like you said, those different structures. But I'm so glad you brought up
Yeah.
casual sex because that is something I wanted to ask you about. So, do you there's this concept in a lot of different, like, whether it be therapists, whether it be wellness gurus, whoever, that kind of, and I've even had a therapist in the past who I don't fault her for this because I agreed with her at the time, but um, she kind of said like, well, sex is like an energetic exchange. And so, you have to like be very careful how you open up to it and blah, blah, blah. Basically, like, I think some people use that as a premise for saying that you can't really do casual sex because it's such an energetic exchange that like you will be scarred by it if you like fuck someone casually. Like what are your thoughts on like where we draw the line between like this is healthy casual sex or like this is going to damage your psyche basically.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I would say me and that therapist will have to just agree to disagree
Yeah.
because I don't believe at all that that you can be that you will always be scarred by enjoying casual sex.
Hmm.
Now, if you're doing it unconsciously or doing it to please other people, then it could be very scarring. 100%. This is where I agree.
Yeah.
Where I disagree is people that are very sexually empowered in themselves and have clear boundaries and communicate clear boundaries can still enjoy a sexual encounter, maybe with a friend, maybe with a one night stand, maybe with a fling, maybe with whoever. But if they
Hmm.
choose to do it for the purpose of their choice, I don't think that you will be scarred from it. If anything, you will be collecting fun experiences in your life.
Hmm.
And a lot of these, fun experiences kind of make you who you are. If you've
Absolutely.
only, let's say, if you've only had sex with one, maybe two people, right? And then you got married and now you're in a traditional relationship. I can see why someone that has had that type of relationship their whole life will say, oh no, like casual sex will scar you. You're like open yourself energetically and they will only take. Like, I disagree with that. I have a very abundance mindset. I
Yeah.
think I have lots to give. And I also only hook up with people who also have lots to give.
Yeah.
So to me, that kind of saying where like, oh, if you open yourself up, you'll get scarred. To me, that's very like sex negative.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sex
agree.
positive. So to me, sex isn't like something to give. It's two people having a good time.
Hmm.
But whether or not you're having a good time, that's your decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your decision of who you choose to fuck. It's your decision of whether or not you want to stay engaged and mindful. It's your decision of where you guys end up fucking. Are you like in a place where you feel safe? Are you drunk? Are you high? Like, there's so many different little individual decisions that you have to make in order to make casual sex fun and safe. So
Yes.
for me, you can totally have a fun and safe and consensual casual sex where two people experience pleasure and maybe even temporary connection. That
Hmm.
can be fun and I think builds character.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. And I
So
think
that's my
like,
opinion, which I know a lot of
yes.
people disagree. I know people that I respect as experts disagree with
Hmm.
this, but I think that's the beauty of this world is like as long as we can disagree peacefully, that's fine.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I think, yeah, it just goes down to like your background, your experiences, and like, how that has informed your opinion. Like, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, as long as you're not hurting anyone with it, I think it's totally okay to like,
Yeah.
and like shaming anyone. Yeah. And I think that's where the sex negative comes in is like, that's the only time where it becomes like, a problem is if you're like, well, you're kind of a slut because you sleep around,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
like,
this is where I think traditional therapy can actually and can be sometimes quite problematic.
mm-hmm.
When I was in my mid 20s, I had a therapist, and this therapist was very traditional. And so when I started talking about, and that was the time where I started questioning whether or not I'm more like open relationship and not monogamous.
Yeah.
Um, so I started mentioning these like desires and urges, and and then she's like, no, 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 Tara, like you're in a very like loving marriage. You have you're in a very loving relationship. You have a great partner. Like it's best to like work towards saving your relationship. And she's like not hearing
Yeah.
my desires and urges and perhaps like different life orientation completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then started telling me like all of the casual sex that you had, um it like kind of broke you, and that's why now you're questioning whether whether you're like you need casual sex or not. And I was just like so confused because also when you're in your mid 20s and a person of quote unquote authority tell you this, then you kind of just like want to
You
work on
believe
yourself.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then I realized, like, just, you know, only like a year later, like, oh, this person didn't know what she was talking about.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I do love therapy as a concept, but
Mm-hmm.
which therapist? That's a gamble.
Oh yeah. You have to
Which
make sure
therapist
that
is a
like,
gamble.
yeah, you've got to make sure that like they work, like they are the right fit for you, and like
Yeah.
that they understand like your needs and everything for sure.
Yeah. Also, not to shit on BetterHelp, but that was on BetterHelp. And like, I
Really?
don't think that they necessarily vet that therapist that clearly. Like, I don't know. And that's just a claim, so don't sue me. But
Yeah, no, no.
that's my personal experience. It's like this lady is not necessarily using like ethical methods, because
Yes.
you should just like listen and probe and not like necessarily, give your
Give
2 cents.
direct advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not necessarily what it's for. It's mostly for like learning, teaching someone how to like talk to
Think for
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And like that's why I think it's so important that so many therapists, especially women, now are becoming certified sex therapists in addition to like therapy, especially if they work around relationships. Um, because that's like I had Dr. Coles on a while back, and I think she was saying the importance of like therapists who work with women in their relationships. Like you should definitely be able to talk about sex, and you should definitely be
Yeah.
able to talk about all of the different relationship structures and the types of like relationship
Yeah.
lifestyles. And I agree. I think that's super awesome, and I think that equips experts and professionals more to like better relate to their clients who maybe have had different experiences than they have.
Yeah.
Because like, if you have a therapist who has been monogamously married for 40 years, and then they have like a 30-year-old come in who's like been poly their whole life,
Yeah.
like how are you gonna best serve them if you don't understand anything about it? So yeah, I
But
I
also, this
mean,
is why it's like when you choose your own provider, then I think the key is choosing people that have the kind of experiences that you want.
oh for sure.
Yeah, that's why after
Yeah.
that therapy, I don't go back to traditional therapy ever again, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just not what I want. Like I have a life
Yeah.
coach that I've worked with now like almost like 3 years that I absolutely love. Like
Mm-hmm.
amazing, adore her. And just like anything else, like just like makeup or
Oh yeah.
clothes, like you choose for yourself, right? Choose what fits you.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's gonna love skinny jeans. I hate skinny jeans. Like same, not everyone's gonna love this type of therapy or this type of therapist. So do some research and like choose one that kind of it lives the life that you desire, or
Oh
like has
yeah.
the kind of values that you desire to acquire.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's
And
like,
that's on period.
and that's on period for real. Yeah, because like you wouldn't want to take advice from someone who hasn't like reached the level, or like you said, like had the experiences that you desire, like the life that you desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. That's a really great tip for like, whether you find a life coach, whether you find a therapist, whether you find a sex therapist or relationship expert, like whatever you need. If you need that kind of help, like, yeah, make sure it's somebody that you can relate to and that like actually has been in your shoes. Cause otherwise, like
They'll just shame you. I was like,
yeah, yeah,
listen, Martha, I have the
yeah.
urge of getting fucked by 4 people. She's like, Tara, that's not good. That's because you had a lot of casual sex.
Yeah. And she's like, that's trauma. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's 'cause I'm
No,
horny.
it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah. I'm
It's my
horny and I like to have fun.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's
No,
that.
that's yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
Yay.
so yeah, but before we end, where can we find you? Like let me know everywhere our listeners can find you on social media, any projects you're working on, anything you want to shout out. Where can we find you and follow you?
You can find me on my website. That's lovebites.co, LUVBITES.co. All my social media and my work is on there.
Amazing. Okay, perfect. Yes, so definitely follow Dr. Tara. She makes like the best content on Instagram, on TikTok, and definitely check out all of her
You.
work. If you need any individual help, she's an incredible expert to go to. Yeah, and so thank you again for joining us. I'm so excited to have this out into the world and have your perspective and your expertise for our listeners. I know that they're gonna find it awesome. So thank you so much.
Have an orgasmic day. Bye.
Bye. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. It was so much fun chatting with Dr. Tara, and I hope you guys found it just as informative and insanely fun as I did. And be sure to follow the podcast at Let's Be Real Podcast on Instagram. If you want to follow me, my personal account is at Lexi Inks on Instagram. And please subscribe to the show on your preferred streaming platform, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Please follow the podcast, give it a review, give it a rating, and tune in next week. I will see you then. Bye.